going, well, I didn't do bad last time with this voice, so.
No, you sound fine.
I do sound fine, Rita Wild. Howdy, Rita.
Nice to see you.
We're the toothless duo.
Now I got all mine in there now.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Your fake one sitting waiting, right?
Way in the back. Yeah.
And I just got mine pulled. So we can't talk too good today.
We're commiserating on teeth stuff.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Welcome to a new edition of Rock and Roll Confessional.
First off, we want to thank all of our new listeners and welcome back our old listeners. If you are either, would you please go to our website and check that out? It's rockandrollconfessional.rocks, ROCKS. Also, please support the podcast by subscribing anywhere, wherever you can. Write a review wherever you can. Comment on Instagram, on Facebook, and YouTube. You know, I keep talking to our friends, and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. So this is why every time we have an episode, we have to remind everybody to please quickly, just go write a review and rate the podcast. We appreciate it.
It all depends on those algorithms. That's, like everybody's looking at those. So when it comes to booking guests and stuff, we need it. Okay. We'll just be honest. Come on now. Hey, we got a great episode today featuring Lawrence Gowan of Styx. In 1997, during Styx's tour, Lawrence Gowan's band performed as a supporting act for Styx in Montreal and Quebec City. Tommty Shaw admired his talent and vibrant stage charisma and called him in May of 1999, asking him to tour with them for 53 dates, temporarily replacing their lead singer, DeYoung, who had fallen ill. Gowan permanently replaced the singer after the tour.
Styx had long been plagued by differences in artistic inclination. DeYoung's absence created an opportunity for a more permanent restructuring of Styx. Gowan subsequently became the band's permanent vocalist. This year's Styx current tour includes Cheap Trick, and later this summer, the Windy City tour begins with Chicago and Styx.
So let's get to our interview with vocalist, guitarist, singer, and songwriter Lawrence Gowan of Styx.
See, you got to quit buying the TMU earphones. You got to get the good stuff.
That's right. No, these are really good.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Hello, Lawrence.
Rita, CW, the Echo. We've defeated the Echo.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
You look marvelous. You look like you're ready to go out and do a show already.
Really? Wow. And the filter I put on this camera is only like $5. So that's amazing.
Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Styx has always been known as this band that loves to tour, but this year the schedule is kind of like an overdrive. I mean, you started actually last year with some solo shows. Yeah. And then you did Styx did the residency in Las Vegas.
Right.
Now you're on the road with Cheap Trick. And then later this summer you have the Windy Cities tour with Chicago.
Yeah.
So how are you holding up?
Remarkably well, considering. No, quite honestly, we derive so much, so much of the life force that's left of us happens to come from exactly what we're doing, which is, playing music in front of thousands of people every night and seeing these joyous expressions on their faces, and that really is quite. It's a big part of the vitality of the band, and we're at a point, we have been at this point now for quite a few years, where the live experience is the one thing that you cannot duplicate in any technological way, or you have to be in the arena to find out what a great rock show can do for you. And I'm, as a fan myself, I have experienced that many times, and I know. I'm very familiar with my life experiences, that it's the greatest form of entertainment that I've ever encountered.
That's so true.
One of the things I love about you, Lawrence, is how you have this energy, this amazing energy that's almost like And I don't want this to sound offensive, but like a ringleader, like at the circus, like you're just up there and you are a showman. You're like going to just capture this moment, this live moment, and go with it. And I'm wondering if that's a persona or that's something that you picked up somewhere.
You know, I think I've always been very attracted to rock performers that really give themselves over physically to the stage. So, you know, I remember the first time seeing Mick Jagger or Little Richard or Jimi Hendrix, or, you know, as a little kid, you know, and then seeing, you know, Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins and, you know, even Chris Squire of Yes, you know, like Freddie Mercury, obviously, the kind of embrace that they offer the audience right away. There's no kind of there's no holding back, so to speak. And rock music, to my mind, it's just not a music that's built for holding back any sort of emotional intensity or physical commitment to the stage. So as far as being the ringleader, it's like it's their fault for giving me a microphone. So
but you also know how to use it and utilize it, and that's what makes it great. You're kind of like the bridge between, let's say, the old Styx, the Styx of the 70s, and the new improved Styx. I like this guy so much better than the guy that used to be in the band. You know, everything comes together with it, without the attitude, without the arrogance. You know, I don't want to demean the individual that used to play the organ and sing and pretend he was the band.
Well, Rita, you know, it's in different eras of a band's life, different ways of characterizing, you know, the overall personality of the band is pretty inevitable. Because having done this for, you know, I'm in my 50th year of being a professional. So I've observed all the things that come along in every decade of life where you're a musician. And although I only became a band member 27 years ago with Styx, I had experienced early in my career, the first 5 years before I got to make any records, what it was like to be in a band and how sometimes those certain personality traits will come out and be very pronounced at a young age that will perhaps mellow out or find another avenue as you get older. So I would never want to be disparaging on what the band had to go through to get to this point, because we are the culmination of the efforts of everyone that's ever been in the band. So John Serlewski, John Panazzo, Dennis DeYoung, Glenn Burtnick, Ricky Phillips, the guys that were part of the band and helped us to get to this point, all of their contributions are vital in order for the band that you see on stage every night. And since I feel connected to all those guys, but through the songs. That's our only real association. And carrying this vessel forward is really kind of what my mandate, if you want to call it that, was when I came into the band. And you know, we've seen it with many successful groups that at some point a full blood transfusion might be what it takes in order for the body of the band to survive. So to use that as a metaphor, and as I really look at it, Rita, as if every band has a spirit, and the spirit of that band lives outside any one individual member. It's a collective spirit that's evoked through the songs and through the presentation of it. And if a new person has to come along, if that spirit is not, I was just in this Country Music Hall of Fame the other day, so I'll use this. If the spirit be unbroken, sorry. Will the spirit be unbroken? I saw that in the Hall of Fame around the rotunda there. I think that's a big part of it. So, for example, I use this quite often to describe this. Ron Wood is the third guitarist in the Rolling Stones. And when I see the Stones, the last time I saw them a few years ago, I look at him and I think, he's every bit as much part of the spirit of the Rolling Stones as anyone on that stage.
That's true.
And Phil Collins carried it forward with losing maybe one of the most gigantic musicians of the 20th century, and they survived that because the spirit of what Genesis is survived. And it's arguable it's a subjective observation that really comes down to every fan of the band or non-fan, but we're happy doing what we're doing.
And it is such a great band. I mean, I understand your brother's working in the band now too.
Yeah.
He's on bass, and then you still have Chuck Manazzo. You got JY, the OG, still
the OG.
There, slaying away on his guitar. Tommty Shaw, what can you say about him? I mean, he wasn't an original member, but I mean, you think of Styx as Tommty Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that was in the band in the 1970s, I consider to be an original member. I mean, Tommy came in at the album 5 at Equinox, but he was an incredible catalyst to help them move forward to the heights that they achieved in that decade. So, it's great to have 3 of the originals, so to speak, the guys from the 70s in the band, giving that connection to that era. And Tommy is he's a phenomenon, and he's kind of a freak of nature, because especially when he gets on stage, he's ageless. I mean, he really could be any age at all. He is able to sing these songs and perform them right alongside the caliber, if not maybe even beyond in some nights, what he was able to do 50 years ago. I mean, Crystal Ball is 50 years old this year, and he sang that last. Yeah, you're old.
Yeah. I know.
I'm not.
So just enjoy it. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, keep see if you can ride it out for as long as you can. The beauty of it is he just sang it. We had a night off yesterday. We were in Nashville, but the night before, I don't have to sing that song. Obviously, I do a few harmonies, but he sang that with such emotional connection to the lyric and intensity that it sounds concurrent with that very day. It's as if it could have been released, 2 days ago.
And there's so many lead singers right now that are getting to the old part of life and have not either kept up their voices or weren't able to keep up their voices, but are still out there. And it's kind of, I mean, honestly, it's disappointing when you go to want to see your hero and they don't sound like what the record sounded like anymore. They're not coming close to it. So, and I'm happy to say that Bob Dylan for me was one of those a few years ago that I went to see, and it's the only show I've ever walked out of because his voice was just so raspy and more raspy than his.
That's probably the most evident example of what time can do, to a person and
to a singer,
to a singer especially, because you really are exposed out there with the instrument is right there, and it's. I mean, look at mine. It's falling down like crazy. There, that fixes it.
But you still sound amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
you are so crystal clear with everything. And
I think, first of all, believe it or not, I'm quite a bit younger than Bob Dylan.
I'll give you that.
Let's see how I sound when I get to his age. If I'm lucky enough to still be performing at the level that he does. But I would say, at a certain point, and I had this conversation yesterday with Kevin Cronin. He happened to be there as well, and the 2 of us showed up in the gym at the same time in the hotel, and we had very much a similar conversation where, at a certain point, you really, really, if you're a singer, you really have to address the physical onslaught that's coming at you, and you're lucky if the measures that you take to mitigate those, time-induced factors, if you're lucky enough to be able to find a method of pushing back on that, or at least holding it where it is, you're very fortunate. So, I mean, every day, my day is, we have a show tonight. I have to be on that stage at 8:00 tonight, and I have to hit the notes that are in Grand Illusion and Come Sail Away. It's just, so my entire day is focused on that hour, and everything I eat, everything I do to kind of exercise and keep myself in as good a shape as possible are all the things I never did back in my 20s and 30s. Okay. Basically, nothing that I spent my day doing back at that time will I be doing today, right? Other than an interview. Even this, because there was no such thing as an internet back then. But there's that's basically it. You have to seriously curtail your day to preserving whatever you can of your voice and of your physical attributes to be able to do a show that well. And some guys, I think they shot past that period, and the damage is there. And then it becomes more of an experience of being in the same room as that person. So I'll give you one of my best examples is that the world pretty well knows that Phil Collins has had a lot of health challenges over the years, and in the last 20 years anyway. And I went to the Genesis concert, which hopefully will not be their last tour, but it probably is. But Phil had to climb on stage using 2 canes. Oh no, he had 1 cane, but he got to the center spot. I've seen Genesis throughout my life and seen him, as one of the most energetic entertainers. And when I saw him sit down at the front of the stage, at first I was kind of crestfallen, because I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have come to this, because I don't want it to wreck the experience I've had with this band in the past. Then the show began, and his son Nick was on drums with all the vitality and energy that Phil Collins had when I saw him way back in the 70s. And the band sounded, I think, better than I've ever heard them. And although he couldn't hit all the notes, he hit a good number of them, but although he couldn't hit all the notes, the way he conveyed those songs and the character that he became on stage that night superseded the necessity to hit all his amazing notes. And I left with the most incredible feeling of like, that might have been the best Genesis show I ever saw. Oh. In some ways, there was a poignant part where he actually became some of the characters that their songs had in the 70s. He became those characters just by the way he delivered it. So I have a very mixed feeling about that. There are shows I've had the exact experience you had where someone I've loved as a singer is just not able to make it. And it's disheartening, but ultimately we're all human, and
we all get old and we're all going to die.
I guess that's where we should probably end this interview.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
No. We have more questions.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And how about that Artemis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
A couple of weeks ago, we had Gilmore of Triumph on the program.
Yes.
And, he was talking about the tour, and he gave you a lot of credit for helping him establish where the business was these days, since it's been a while since they toured.
Yeah.
He was raving about just how intelligent you were, how educated, how effusive you were, how, you expressed yourself, and, gave him all the warnings that needed to be done. And I thought that's really high praise.
It is, and I'm happy to hear you say that. It's funny because that Gil was top of mind actually as we were going through that last question. Is that he recognizes, after not being on tour for a good number of years, he recognized early on the challenge that he was facing to get ready for this Triumph tour, and I done, as you mentioned, Rita, I did a few solo shows earlier this year in February, and Rick Emmett was at one of them as well. And Rick, that entire band, I've known those guys since the 1970s. I first met them in 1977 when they were just beginning to climb. In fact, Mike Levine actually managed my band for about 3 weeks.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he had to what do you call it? He had to recuse himself because he went, damn, my band is just beginning to really take off and I don't have time to spend on this properly. So you're on your own, sayonara. But Gil, their studio, Metalworks, is it's legendary now in Toronto, and so many great records from around the world, from world status artists have been made there. And I really got to know him while I recorded a few solo records at that studio. And he, right now, his biggest fear was kind of what you're getting at there, CW. He didn't want to let down the audience that have been waiting for this and hoping this might happen. And so he and I spoke the first time. We spoke on a few occasions. He just wanted to know, what are some of the things I got to look out for, starting from everything with how you deal with your voice on the road and how to try to get in the way of things that are going to get in the way of it, all the way to, so how does the tour bus work? Because he's from that era of touring where I guess they flew. Every date was a flight date. So I found that really interesting because I really, without even thinking about it, I think I've become kind of maybe I am a bit of a sage voice when it comes to how to do these things because I've done it so long now. And, so I'd say things to him like, the tour bus is a great sanctuary. Don't look at it as it's a fantastic place to be because you can remove yourself from the situation and yet be still part of it. There's nothing I love more than arriving at a gig. I might have said this to Gil, arriving at a show where the audience people are waiting to get in, and there's this giant lineup. And as you arrive, they can't see through the tinted windows, but we can see them, and they all start applauding, and all this. That feeling, it begins to just lift you, So I was trying to impart to him that all those little things that are going to suddenly become part of his life again, and hopefully they'll continue to do this for a good number of years.
Mm-hmm. But the business has changed so much too.
Dramatically. It's not the same business at all.
Yeah.
No.
And that
it's all
makes
about
it more
touring.
difficult. Yeah.
Well, as we were saying, it's the only thing that you can't download. It's the only thing you can't. If you want the full-on rock experience, you have to be in the arena. You have to be in the theater. You can't. I watch YouTube clips of all kinds of bands and go, that's not what I saw. I remember I went to an Elton John show, and the YouTube clips from that show, nothing even remotely like the experience that it was being there. The disconnect between the two is staggering.
Wow. Let's go back to when you got the word to join Styx, and I'm just wondering what was your situation. That was 1999, I believe.
Yeah.
You're around 43 years old. You've had your own solo career, and then how does this come about? And what do you think inside? What were you feeling inside when this came up?
Well, CW, first of all, I'm going to say that you brought up something today that's really timely, because a man who was pivotal in that whole thing happening, he just left planet Earth just a couple of days ago. And it was in Quebec, Canada, the French-speaking part of Canada, in the city of Montreal, where this legendary promoter by the name of Donald K. Donald is the man I'm speaking of. He had promoted shows for me through the 80s and into the 90s, and I had put out a solo live French record called Gowan au Quebec. And one of the songs, a French song that I covered from another band called Pour un Instant, was in the top 10. And I played it on television on a morning show in Montreal to promote the fact that I was coming to play Montreal about 6 weeks later. Okay, and it was a show at a theater that Donald K. Donald was promoting. When I got back to the hotel, he called and said, we're going to cancel that show. I went, oh no, what? He said, no, the tickets, it's okay. Tickets haven't gone on sale yet. You promoted it, but what we're going to do instead is I want you to open for Styx at the new Montreal Forum, which had just been completed, right? He said, and I said, Donald, I haven't opened for anyone in Canada here. I haven't opened for anyone in 14 years. And he said, listen, you headlined the old Montreal. Oh, and I said, and also, I don't have my band. This is a solo piano tour to promote this record. He said, I know what it is. I want you to do what I saw you do on TV this morning and just open the show, you on piano. And I thought, well, I had headlined the old Montreal Forum, and this might be my only chance to play at the new Montreal Forum. So, and I'd never seen Styx. So a confluence of all these various little factors began to kick in. In addition to that, when he called Charlie Brusco, our manager, this is the story I love hearing from his angle. He said, we're going to change the lineup. We're going to have this guy, Gowan, open the show for Styx in Montreal. And Charlie initially said, okay, how big is his band though? Because, with stage room and all and he said, it's just going to be him on piano. Charlie went, are you losing your mind? It can't be one guy on piano opening a show in this 18,000 seat arena. And he said, well, if you don't believe me, come and see it. Charlie came to that show. I played the show, and then it was one of those nights, it was almost scripted, because after playing my set, the audience were singing all these songs, they know the songs, so they're singing the choruses to them. And I came on for the first encore. I got two encores, and the whole band of Styx were standing side stage. And by doing that second encore, I actually ran a few minutes over time, I do believe, which is really not something you should do. But the audience was
now.
Really, yeah, I know.
Back then you could wiggle room, but now
that's right. Union costs and all kinds of things. So, but the audience were really on fire. And when I came off stage, Tommty Shaw stuck his hand out and said, no one's ever had an encore that opened for us, ever. And he said, you just did too. He goes, we got to do this again. We got to work together again in future. That was 1997.
Wow.
2 years later, when they called, my assumption on the phone call was, this is great, because now, if I could open shows for them in the U.S., maybe people will start to find my material because of the internet, etc. As you said, the industry has changed so entirely, and where in the past, the big record companies had relegated where in the world you get to hear various artists. They controlled the market. Now it was wide open. But the phone call changed within. I said, I'd love to open more shows for you guys. The other thing is we just kind of hit it off. I remember just a little bit of banter we had back and forth together. Todd went and bought my album and had me sign it thinking I was a French artist. The first words Todd ever said to me was, excusez-moi, I don't speak French. Because he'd heard me doing my not very good French on stage, but he assumed I was some kind of French Elton John or something, is what he said. He goes, because he said, I don't speak French. I said, yeah, well, neither do I. And then he and I had this ridiculous kind of rendezvous in England the following year. And just kind of another astounding thing where we came into each other's orbit. But anyway, back to the phone call. They said, no, we don't want you to open the shows. We want to know if you'd be interested in joining the band. And I was taken aback by that at first, because I said, can you give me an hour to think this over? Because what I did with that hour was I went crazy looking for Grand Illusion, right? And I couldn't find it. So I went down. Luckily, there was a record store close enough by that I was able to go grab a copy, get home, got a CD of it, put it on and listen through it really quick just to see, can I hit these notes? Are we in the same vocal range? I've never really tested it. They called back. When they called back an hour later, it was JY. And JY says, hey, listen, we really think that you could fit into this. And by that time, my confidence was had raised, because I realized I can sing these songs. And he said, how would you feel maybe in a couple of days, come down to Tommy's place? He lived in Los Angeles at the time, and let's see how our voices sound together. I said, yeah. Next thing I know, I've got a plane ticket, and I'm at Tommy's place. By the way, the place he lived in then, he's now in Nashville, but in Hollywood, he had the house that was the closest to the Hollywood sign. Wow. And when I went up that, went up the canyon, and finally got to his house, which was at the pinnacle. The Hollywood sign was as big as I'd ever been able to see it, because it was just across this divide that keeps it from people climbing on it, although they still get there. And it was very bizarre to me, because it was like, this is like some scripted thing where I've come into this from being a solo artist to this legendary band. And I go in the room, and they got the piano set up, and I said, okay, let's try. I said, let's try, I think, Fooling Yourself. He goes, no, don't play a Styx song. I'm like, oh. He goes, no, play, that song you played at the end, A Criminal Mind. Play that first. Yeah. So I played that on, just on the piano. And then at the end of the song, he goes, yeah, we better make that a Styx song now. So we've done that on a couple of live records, with 3 of them actually. Mm. And so I immediately felt like, well, I guess I'm in the band. I guess this is what's going to happen. And that's my best kind of rendition of how it came down.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah, sometimes the universe gets it right.
It's Tommy used an expression that I up until then had never heard. Because after we'd done 3 shows, I said, I think JY went, it's amazing how this is just glued together so quickly. It's fit. And Tommy just went, well, like attracts like. And I'd never heard that expression before. But I've kind of come to really believe it over the course of the last, nearly 3 decades now.
Yeah.
Put it out there and it will come back to you.
I suppose. Yeah.
Another guy, I know we're short on time, but I just want to give him some credit, is guitarist, vocalist, Will Evankovich, because he's another guy that just kind of seems to fit with the whole thing.
He does.
As far as songwriting and singing. Yeah. So, he's a great addition as well.
If you look, you're absolutely right, Rita. If you look at the history of Styx, inevitably, whenever something's had to shift, the right person. I'm sorry about that. Oh, that's actually my son, who's a professional drummer. He's playing in Greece tonight.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll get back to him after this.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
Oh, I love his tour. His tour is great. They play in Greece tonight, and then they get on a plane tomorrow and fly to Brazil.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So anyway.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. You were asking about Will. Yeah. In the history of Styx, it seems like the right person has walked in the door every time some dramatic shift has had to take place in the band. It's going right back to the way JY describes the fact that there was this band called TW4 that had the Panazza brothers and Dennis DeYoung and John Serluski. And then JY joins, and within a very short period of time, or almost immediately, they get a record deal. So it's like, and they were quite a successful band, but just didn't have whatever it took to crack getting a record deal. JY comes in, bang, they get that deal. They go through the first 5 albums, they begin to get some modest success, and then they get some real success, funny enough, in Quebec, in Canada, with Sweet Madame Blue. And right then, Tommty Shaw joins the band. Well, who better to walk in the door then? Yeah. Then Glenn Burtnick joined, and they wound up having a really successful record with Edge of the Century in the early 90s. And that was even without Tommy. And then I came in 99, and then Ricky Phillips came in. Everything was right, and then now Terry's come in. But when Will came into the band, because there were so many, as you've referenced already, Rita, there were so many changes in the music industry, call it that. Will was just the right person to come in and be a producer when suddenly Universal Records was interested in putting out a new Styx record. That's really what happened. And Will came in as the producer on that record and co-writer. And we saw, first of all, his way of arbitrating, our various ideas and bringing them together into a cohesive record with the Mission, it was obvious that he was definitely this great kind of catalyst that made us think, well, we can make new records that can stand up to the classics. We came in believing that. And after the Mission, that belief was, reinforced. But when we performed the songs in the Mission, we needed him on stage because there were extra guitar parts, etc., and extra bits that needed to be filled in. So he did that when we did the Mission tour, and we did play that album in its entirety. And then it just became obvious he's got to produce Crash to the Crown. That came after the 2020 break. We made the record during that period, and it was obvious he's got to be on stage with us for the entire time. So that makes him a band member.
Love it.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah. We're out of time. Do you have a couple more minutes, Lawrence?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep. Yeah, last one of the day. Yeah.
Oh, good. That's good for you. Until you go on stage and then you got to do, the life of a rock star.
We're going to do some real quick fun questions for you.
Okay.
Who would you want to work with that you've never worked with?
Oh, well.
Dead or alive, it's your game as much as our game, so make up anything.
Oh, number one would be Beethoven, for sure.
Well, yeah.
I want to work with, he needs some lyrics. No, I just watched another great documentary on Beethoven. I just thought, oh God, anyone that got to meet him, even if he was just like, even if it was a bad experience, it was probably the greatest experience you could ever hope for. Okay, dead or alive. Okay, so there are obvious names. John Lennon, living would be Paul McCartney, Mick Jagger, Jimi Hendrix, Freddie Mercury, Peter Gabriel. How many was I allowed?
As many as you want.
As many as I want. Roland Orzabal from Tears for Fears.
Love him.
I'll keep going if you want. Yeah,
love them all, 90s. But I love him too.
Oh yeah, I guess the Greenwood Brothers that are in Radiohead. Who recently? The guys in the band Keane, the guys in Muse, David Gilmour of Pink Floyd.
Okay.
John Anderson of Yes. Oh, I did work with him. Alex Lifeson from Rush. I did work with him. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I've been so ridiculously lucky with the musicians I've gotten to work with. When you look at it and see, Jerry Marotta, Tony Levin, David Rhodes, from Peter Gabriel's band, a guy named Chris Jarrett as well, phenomenal guitar player. John Anderson from Yes, then Alex Lifeson from Rush was on a full album. Robert Fripp played on one song of mine, also John Sebastian. I mean, that's a phenomenal, and then there's all the acts that I've gotten a chance to tour with. I mean, one night when we were on tour with Yes, about 15 years ago, one of my most astounding moments backstage was I was playing some ragtime on the piano, and Steve Howe came in and said, I really like ragtime. And I was like, well, I'm a huge Yes fan. And I had the guitar sitting there, and I went, he goes, show me how you play that. And I played a little bit for him, and I said, he goes, yeah, I've got to learn that, or something like that. He said, and I said, well, I still have to learn how to play Siberian Khatru. And he goes, oh, he went and got his guitar and showed me how to play the opening. And I'm sitting there learning the opening of Siberian Khatru with Steve Howe. And then the following year, I was backstage with Phil Collin teaching me how to play Pour Some Sugar on Me. Yeah. So I've had some of the most astounding guitar teachers. And I'm still no good on the instrument, but my teachers have been amazing.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Very cool. I was just going to, talk about or ask about your arc. I guess you were had to have been trained classically.
Yeah.
What you did.
Yeah.
And then you become this solo artist who's managed at the time by Ray Daniels, who is still the manager of Rush, as far as I remember, as far as I recall. So that arc of like a solo artist into Styx and how do you see it playing out? Do you want to do more? What would you like to do more? Would you like to do a play? Would you like to do something, a concerto? You know, play Beethoven somewhere.
Beethoven's 10th.
Well, first of all, okay, so I do practice classical stuff. I got my pianos, my little keyboard for my rooms here, so I'll do some. I'm working on another Beethoven piece right now. I play, but I play, but classical performers are on a completely different level when it comes to properly playing classical music. But it informs so much of rock that I need to keep it kind of in my daily kind of engagement with music, because the keyboard players that I love from rock, Rick Wakeman and Tony Banks and Keith Emerson and Elton John, they're all very classically, if not influenced, incredibly skilled in playing classical music. And so I try to, I need to be at that level, or get as close to that level as I can get. As far as the future, I love the fact that now I have a nice balance at the moment of playing solo shows in Canada, and to people that have been know my records from the 80s and the 90s, and still do close to 100 shows with Styx every year where I'm a band member, and that's a beautiful balance between the two. I've been working on another solo project for a good number of years, which at some point, when I have at least 6 months to devote to promoting it, I'll do that. But 6 months actually is a good. The term of 6 months, the timing of that is really all that I ever look ahead to. Is kind of going. I live kind of in 6 month increments. Half the year I'm going to play these Styx shows. We have this big tour coming up with Chicago. A band that I used to go and see all the time, and so I can't wait for that. Awesome. And I really just think of that. Beyond that, all the things that you just mentioned, they're all little dreams. I mean, it's one day if I ever got an opportunity to play with any of the people that I've mentioned, I would jump at it. Plays and musicals and those kinds of things. I've been offered a few of them in the past, but I've never committed to doing a full one. Do you know? I've never told this story publicly. I don't think I have. Maybe I have, but I don't think I have. But in the 90s, when the musical for Tommy was coming to Toronto, I didn't audition for it or anything, but they hadn't found anyone to play Tommy, and they had Pete Townsend coming in 3 days. This is when the producers called and said, "Would you come in and sing a couple of songs?" And I said, "Yeah, but why?" And they said, "Because we haven't found anybody yet, and we think that at least if you sing, he'll think we've been doing our job." And they had found by the way, they had found somebody, but I went in, I sang for Pete Townsend, I sang "I Am Free" and "Sensation," and did a little bit of acting. And he said, the great thing is, he said to me after, "That was really good. That was really, really good. How old are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm 39. He goes, "Tommy's 19. And then he says, "Is there any other part of this that you'd be interested in playing?" And of course, I'm like, at that time, because I'm still, probably my ego got in the way, and I went, "No." And I said, "Am I actually hearing from Pete Townsend that I'm too old?"
Yeah.
After what you sang.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a little bit of a tiny bit of a laugh out of him for that. And then I left the room and went back to playing rock music.
You could have been the acid queen. Come on.
I know. It was so obvious. It was so obvious. Tina Turner was handing me the baton, and I refused it.
Take it.
Stupid. So did Chris Farley.
You've made all the right decisions.
Yeah.
Have a great show tonight. Have
Thank you, Rita.
Great time with
Thank you.
Cheap
Great
Trick.
talking to you, CW and Rita, and thanks for everything. And
you've been very professional, Lawrence, and really appreciate you taking the time out. And
pleasure.
Good luck with the tour, and hoping we'll catch you at the Forum, which is, I think, in August with Chicago.
Can't wait.
And we got a big tour. And also the Rock in Paradise with Styx and Friends Yacht Rock Review, which I don't consider you yacht rock, but that comes up in, October 8th through 10th. If you didn't know about it.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, that's our Miramar. That's our own little festival.
Yeah, because you had that last year. It was so successful. They said
it was.
Do it again.
Yeah,
38 Special, Tesla, Don Felder, Marshall Tucker,
great.
Jefferson Starship, Outlaws, and more.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Great weekend.
Yeah. So thank you. Good luck. Have fun on the tour. I know you're already on it, but have fun on the tour. And
we'll see you at the LA Forum.
Excellent.
Sounds great,
guys.
man. All right.
Thank
Take care.
Much.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Well, that was so cool. What a really, 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 really cool guy. I know we've said that before. I really enjoyed that interview with him. He was so down to earth. He was so just whatever you want to talk about. Although we were instructed not to talk about certain things, that was obviously.
I think I kind of mentioned some of the things a little bit. But that's just, personal opinion, not an opinion of his.
Yeah. So thank you, Lawrence, very much. Also, special thanks to Amanda Kagan for coordinating the interview. She's always an amazing, amazing person. And special thanks to Terry Gibson for always being on our side when it comes to Styx interviews and Styx in general.
Styx is currently on the road with different shows, some with Cheap Trick, and then starting July 13th, the Windy Cities Tour kicks off with Chicago. Get it? Chicago and Styx, both from Chicago, the Windy City. It goes through September. Tickets on sale now. Styx released an album last year called Circling from Above. You can check that out. And you can check out our show notes on our website, rockandrollconfessional.rocks, ROCKS. There you can find links to some of the subjects talked about in today's show, including links for concert tickets, new Styx videos featuring Lawrence, and much more.
And don't forget, again, please subscribe, write a review. We will come to your house and thank you personally. Rita will come to your house and thank you personally. Okay, she won't.
We'll both arrive there.
And
wash your car.
Yeah.
No, we won't do that.
No.
Let's not make promises.
Thanks for listening to our shit, people. We appreciate it. We'll be back soon.
Thank you so much for listening.